I'm on a quest to collect the top 100 N64 games of all time without spending any money out of pocket. I can use up to 10% of the profits I make flipping items on eBay to buy new games for the collection. I currently have $47 in the game fund, but many of the games left on this list are $100 plus. We've got some eBay sales to pack up, some flea markets to hit, and then we're going to the game store at the end of the week to see if we can find anything new for the collection. But first, we're off to this local church rummage sale to see if we can find some good items to flip. Let's go. When it's Saturday and you've got kids in tow, we can't always get out early, and my God was this place packed. I dug through this stack of board games and found a copy of Masterpiece, the art auction game. I sold a copy of this game a few weeks back for pretty good money, but this is a much newer edition and unfortunately wasn't worth picking up. I was scanning through the aisles and for some reason this coffee mug of all things stood out to me. And when I checked the bottom, it was Givenchy. I think that's how you say it. So actually a really nice brand. And shockingly, this thing has a good sell-through rate for about 20 bucks. And while I dug elsewhere, my wife was digging in the toy room, and she did way better than me. She found this Klondike and Snow polar bear set from the Denver Zoo. Apparently they were local celebrities of sorts back in the 90s, and there are tons of sold comps for similar plush, around $30 to $40. We couldn't find this exact one, but being in the box still and having the cassette tape has to make this special. She also found this VTech video painter, which if it works, and it does look like it's in good condition, should go for around $60 or so. And while I let the kids play outside, she went back in for another round and came out with a few $2 games I completely missed. Halo 3 and Crackdown, 2 on my wish list, and the following morning the sun was shining, so we hit up the flea market. I could not believe this sign that I saw at one of the first booths when we walked in. I think all in, we ended up grabbing about 45 DVDs, a mix of stuff for us and the kids. What a deal. At another booth, I found a couple of Xbox 360 chargers I could use to complete some of my loose consoles. He wanted $5 each, but managed to get both for $8. And one of the last vendors we passed outside had a table absolutely stacked with consoles. Now, these things looked rough, but for the right price, I would be willing to take a risk on them. I picked through them a bit and found the ones I thought looked to be in decent condition. Now, there's a risk that they have tested all of these and they're broken. I managed to talk them down to $45, which should be a good enough price that even if they are all broken, I can still make a little bit of money selling them for parts, so this is a risk that I'm going to take. This flea market also has an indoor section, and there's a video game vendor. We've got to check it out. Maybe we can find some N64 stuff. Unfortunately, not an N64 game in sight, but I did end up buying this copy of Metal Gear Rising for 15 bucks. You know, I can't leave empty-handed. Good afternoon. Today is Monday, and I've got 5 quick things to pack up today. So up first is this Nintendo DS carrying case. So there's a local game store I go to, and they have like a big bin filled with $5 cases. They must get them in trade-ins and not really sell them. So they just have them all in there for $5 each. They mark some up a little bit higher if they're like, you know, they have like the other day I was in there and they had like a big Xbox backpack, which is pretty cool. They had it marked at, you know, like 30, 40 bucks, something like that. So there's specific items that they will mark up, but for the most part, every single case in there is $5. So I always flip through it because especially the handheld ones, they sell pretty quick. And, you know, make like 5, 10 bucks on it. You're already in there. You might as well pick them up. So I bought this Nintendo DS carrying case for $5 at the game store. We sold that for $18.50 and free shipping. The next item we sold is this loose copy of Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. So this actually popped out of one of the PS2s I bought from that huge video game lot the other week. Was, you know, just kind of getting everything organized and popped one of the PS2s open, and that was sitting inside, so didn't expect that to be there. And we sold that for $18 plus shipping, and that's all profit. Next on the list is this copy of Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship for the Game Boy Advance. And maybe have $1 into that. We sold it for $10 plus shipping. Next up on the list, we sold this original Nintendo DS for parts, unfortunately. It works, but it has a very badly cracked shell near the GBA slot. So it's going to need a reshell to get it into working condition. And I'm sure somebody's happy to get one for cheap and, you know, get the guts to do some project with. And then finally, I actually picked this up off camera. I took my kids out to get ice cream the other day. And you see a thrift store, you got to go inside, right? And there was this thrift store I'd never noticed before across the street. I was with my kids, so I didn't record anything, but I just, went in and, oh, you looking for anything? Yeah, actually, you got any video game stuff? And she handed me this little bag of, it had a couple NES games and one Game Boy game. They had them marked at $5 each, except this one Game Boy game wasn't marked. So she asked $3 for it. It was a copy of Atomic Punk for the Game Boy. Had a little bit of damage to the cartridge, but it works. There's nothing wrong with it. And we sold it for $17 free shipping. So this kind of like paid for the kids' ice cream, I guess, that day, which kind of works out. We're gonna get these packed up right now. Good afternoon. So today I've got 3 quick things to pack up. First up is this copy of Epic Mickey Power of Illusion for the Nintendo 3DS. I picked this up from the thrift store the other day for $4 and was surprised when I pulled it off the shelf that it was sealed. So that was nice. And we sold that for $30 plus shipping. Next up, I sold this loose Super Mario 64 manual. So I end up finding these things just like in random stuff. Like, I don't even remember where this one came from, honestly. I don't find that stuff very often, like these big hauls where you go to a garage sale and you say, hey, you guys got game stuff? It's kind of rare someone actually pulls things out. But I've had a couple of those over the last year. And that's probably where this came from, just like sitting in somebody's box, just a box of random stuff. And we sold that for $10 with free shipping. So, after shipping, I'll make like $4 or $5 on it. Nothing crazy. And finally, we sold a Lego set today. So I've had this listed for a little while. I usually use a site called Bricklink. It is like it's actually like eBay for Lego, but I don't sell on Bricklink. I like to just keep everything on eBay. I'm finding that the premium's a little bit higher on Bricklink, but I'm going to assume that people are just like a lot pickier there. And again, it's a whole other platform you have to learn and get involved with. So I've had to drop everything by a couple bucks, but if I beat Bricklink by a couple dollars, I usually sell the item pretty fast. So I sent them an offer for $23 plus shipping, but we at least sold it fast, which is the key. And now we're off to the thrift store. I was striking out at most of my usual sections today. Nothing in toys or electronics I was interested in, but I did flip through the shoes and I noticed this pair of Nikes that were 75% off thanks to the white tag. The sell-through's pretty good and they're in good condition. I'm thinking they should go for about 30 to 40 bucks. I also flipped through the clothing a bit today. I can't leave with only one item. And I managed to find this Orvis 100% cashmere sweater. Luckily, it's another white tag, so this only costs about $7. It was hard to find the exact sell-through, but I found a comp for this exact sweater for about $100. That feels a little high to me, but even if it's half that, I'm happy to pick this up. And I'm sensing a trend this week. While I was striking out today, my wife was walking around too, and she managed to fill her cart. First was this sealed Lego flower set. It should be $10 into $30 easily. She found this Mega Man toy that I will most likely be keeping for only $3. He'll look awesome next to my NES games. Now, originally this John Lennon Lego set was part of a set of all 4 Beatles, but even just him, we're probably going to get about 25 to 30 bucks for this. She found this Tory Burch bracelet that should go for about 25 to 30 bucks, and she bought this vintage Momo watch that should go for about $40 or so. Nice job. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday. I've got 3 more things to pack up today. And unfortunately, nothing too crazy today. A couple little fivers here and there. But no, I've actually had a couple like high dollar value items that I thought would sell really fast have been sitting a while. And I've got them priced right as far as I know. So we'll see what happens. We've still got another selling day before the end of the week. So I usually go to the game store on Fridays after I've tallied everything up and I know how much I have to spend. I usually go on Friday afternoons. And I've got this huge bin of trade fodder. So we're not completely out of luck if I don't sell anything crazy high value tomorrow, because I do have this trade bin and I feel like we'll be able to find something, but we'll see. We'll see. So up first, we've got this Minecraft zombie figure. This just came in like, we buy these bags of toys at the thrift store. Usually in these bags, there's like 1 or 2 items that we're interested in. And then there's a couple other things like thrown in. They sell you the whole bag for like $5 or $6. And if things are worthwhile, we'll list them. So this Minecraft figure was in there. Nothing crazy. It was $8 with free shipping. All right. So next we sold on an offer. I've actually been collecting some of the Goosebumps books from when I was a kid. I'm going out thrifting, going to flea markets, garage sales, stuff like that all the time. And you have like a list of things you're looking for. When you actually find something that you said you wanted, that's a really exciting moment. It keeps things really fun when you're out and about. Not just finding things to flip. But, you know, hey, I found this movie that I wanted to watch. I found this book I was interested in reading. I found a toy for my kid, like whatever, that kind of stuff. I also keep an eye out for Goosebumps books. I haven't seen any in a really long time. I have a list going on my phone. I believe it's 62 in the first set from the late 90s. These were just like extras, either ones I got that were duplicates or just like I found one that was in better condition. I'd get them for like 50 cents, 25 cents at garage sales. I found them before $1 at the thrift store. For these, I'm getting $10 plus shipping, $11 plus shipping. And last item today is this little action figure from Willy Wonka. I don't know if it's Veruca or Verica or however you say her name, but she's the naughty little girl from the Wonka movie. We found this reaction figure and we sold it for $22 with free shipping, and it sold pretty quick too, which is great. So I ran the numbers and I have 56 with all this stuff I sold today, $56 in the game fund. But again, that's not really quite enough. So hopefully we have a really good day tomorrow. And with that, let's go ahead and get all this stuff packed up. Today is Friday and there are 2 sales in our area to hit up. Let's go. First was this garage sale. They had a little box of games out, but marked really high, and nothing else I'm interested in, unfortunately. Strike out here. But next up is an estate sale. There were about 10 people outside waiting to get in, so it was a bit of a mad dash when they opened the door. I quickly made my way into the basement, and sitting on the workbench, I noticed this vintage CD player. I figured it would probably be a $20 to $30 item, but when I flipped it over, it said it was from 1985, and it's Sony, so it's a good brand. I was shocked when I found a sold comp for $180. And I was surprised it was still hanging there. Right in your face when you walk into the bedroom was this Giants starter jacket. They had it marked at $75, so when you look up comps, it seems to be pretty much right on with eBay price. But if you look a little closer, it seems like this might be a slightly rarer variant. Now, I'm not an expert on this kind of stuff, but I found this Chicago Bears one that sold for $125. So even at $75, I actually think this is a good pickup. And that was the only 2 items I ended up grabbing today, but for some reason, they only charged me $50 for the jacket. I don't know, and $15 for the CD player. So $65 all in for about $300 in retail value, an hour well spent. Unfortunately, we made no more sales on Friday, ending the week with only $96 in profit, but this does give us $56 to spend on N64 games, and we've got this bin of trade fodder, mostly loose discs, not really worth selling on eBay. Hopefully this will give us the funds we need to add another rare game to the collection today. Let's hit the game store. And today, I picked up a copy of StarCraft 64, putting me at 62 out of my top 100 N64 games. We ended up getting a bit more than I expected for that trade bin, $55 in credit, but this copy of StarCraft 64 set me back $100, leaving me with only $11 going into next week. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.